The stars around the edge of human territory were quiet, too quiet. Deep in space, the alien ship Varix 1 floated silently, its crew gone, no distress signal, no signs of life. It had sent one last transmission, just a few short beeps, before going completely dark. That signal was picked up by an old listening post hidden deep under ice on Pluto, decommissioned, forgotten, and now blinking red for the first time in 70 years. The data was scrambled, but it carried something strange, an ancient Earth code once used during secret wars no one was supposed to remember. Captain Elias Reyes, a retired fleet officer, received a secure message at his small farm on Titan. He had left the service years ago, hiding from his past and the horrors of a war the government swore had never happened. Now, a name from that past had returned, Project Silence. Reyes didn't want to go back, but the message had one line that chilled him to the bone: "They are waking up, and we are not ready." Reyes took one last look at his quiet home, knowing he would never return. He left that night, heading toward an old military outpost near Jupiter. There, he met Lyra Voss, a young xenolinguist who looked too smart and too determined for her own safety. Her brother had vanished on a peace mission near the same place the alien ship disappeared. Reyes didn't trust her at first, but her knowledge of alien languages and her need for answers gave him pause. They boarded a stealth ship hidden deep inside the moon's crust, a leftover from the old wars. Reyes didn't ask who still maintained it. He just knew it was ready, waiting for him, like the past he couldn't escape. As they traveled closer to the border of the red zone, a cold part of space sealed off by Earth after a conflict no one talked about, the ship began picking up strange signals. Faint whispers in old Earth code mixed with alien distress patterns. Something was alive out there, something watching. Then came the shock, a ghost transmission from the missing Varix 1. The voice was cracked, nearly broken, but it spoke in clear, perfect English. "Why did you lie to us?" Lyra's face turned pale. That voice belonged to her brother. But how? Reyes ordered a scan of the source. It was bouncing from an old Earth satellite long believed destroyed. As they approached, the satellite lit up and sent one final pulse, a map. On it, a sector in the red zone marked in red, pulsing like a heartbeat. Reyes felt sick. That was the exact location of his final mission, the one he was ordered to forget. They had arrived at the edge of human territory, and everything ahead was off limits, erased from records, and marked dangerous by every warning system. But the truth was out there, waiting. Reyes and Lyra locked eyes. Neither of them could turn back now. As they crossed the invisible line into the red zone, all communications with Earth went dead. The stars ahead looked darker, like something massive was hiding between them, waiting to be found. Or to find them. The moment Reyes and Lyra crossed into the red zone, everything changed. The stars behind them seemed to blink out, one by one, as if a curtain had fallen between them and the rest of the galaxy. Their ship's systems flickered, screens glitched, and the temperature dropped for no reason. Lyra wrapped her arms around herself, not from the cold, but from the sudden feeling that they were being watched. They followed the map sent from the ghost signal to an old space station, half buried in the rings of a shattered moon. No records showed it ever existed. The outside was torn and twisted like it had been crushed by something too big to understand. Reyes docked the ship carefully, his hands steady despite the fear building in his chest. Inside, the air was stale but breathable. They found long corridors full of abandoned machines and dried blood on the walls, but no bodies. The station felt like it had been frozen in time, papers scattered, chairs overturned, meals left half-eaten, like everyone vanished mid-step. In one of the control rooms, Lyra found a damaged console still flashing a message on loop: "Subject breach detected. Secure containment. Do not engage." Reyes' heart skipped. That phrase matched the protocols of Project Silence. They weren't just in the red zone, they were inside one of the secret labs Earth used to hide something terrifying. As they dug deeper, strange things started happening. Lyra heard whispers when she was alone, voices calling her name. Reyes saw flashes of movement in the corners of his vision, shadows with no source. Their equipment recorded none of it. Then came the worst part. The ship they had docked with suddenly detached itself and floated away, like pushed by invisible hands. They were stranded. Reyes cursed under his breath, already thinking of a plan, but Lyra noticed something worse. One of the doors they hadn't opened yet was now unlocked. And from inside, soft humming came out like a lullaby. They entered the room, guns raised, and found a massive wall covered in alien symbols, glowing faintly with a purple light. Lyra stepped forward and placed her hand on it. The symbols lit up and began to move, rearranging into Earth script. It said, "They begged for help. We silenced them." Lyra stepped back, shaken, and turned to Reyes. "This wasn't an accident," she whispered. "Earth did something, and now it's waking up." Suddenly, the wall cracked open, revealing a hidden room full of stasis pods. Inside, they found alien bodies, dozens of them frozen, eyes wide with terror. One of them was still alive. Its eyes moved slowly, and when it saw Reyes, it began to scream but no sound came out. Just then, alarms blared across the station. Not from their entry but from something else. Something was coming. Outside the station, space twisted, like a ripple in water. A dark shape began to form. Reyes grabbed Lyra. "We need to hide," he said, voice cold. Whatever the red zone was hiding, they had just triggered it and they were not alone anymore. Reyes and Lyra hid inside the shadows of the old lab as the alarms continued to blare, red lights flashing across the cracked ceiling. The alien in the stasis pod thrashed silently, its mouth open in a scream that never made a sound. Then, as quickly as it had started, the alarm stopped. The air turned thick, and time itself seemed to slow. Lyra stared at her hand. It was shaking slightly, though she felt like she wasn't moving at all. From somewhere deep in the station, they heard metal creaking, not like something breaking, but like something breathing. Reyes pulled her away from the pods. "We need to find the command core," he said. "If this place has black box data, it'll be there." They moved carefully through flickering corridors, avoiding doors that hummed with strange energy. Some rooms looked untouched, others torn apart as if by claws too large to belong to any living thing. In one room, Lyra found a broken tablet still displaying logs. She wiped off the dust. The last entry said, "Containment breached." Not a creature. A code. It infects thought, memory, speech. Reyes took the tablet, his face dark. "That's Project Silence," he muttered. "It wasn't just a weapon. It was something we couldn't explain." In the command core, they found the black box unit locked inside a data vault. Reyes hacked into it, and the screen lit up with shaky video. The footage showed the alien crew of Varix 1 exploring this same station. They looked calm, curious. One of them touched the same glowing wall Lyra had touched. Suddenly, they froze. Their eyes widened. Then they began to scream, holding their heads like something was drilling into their minds. The camera blurred, then cleared again. The crew was gone, no sound, no trace, just empty space where they once stood. Then came the chilling part. The last 5 seconds of the recording showed the wall rearranging itself again. It turned into text, in perfect English, "You taught us silence. Now hear ours." Lyra's breath caught. "It's learning," she whispered. Reyes nodded slowly. "No, worse. It's remembering." The black box data contained a strange signal, part human, part alien, but laced with impossible patterns. Reyes isolated the file, and as soon as he played it, lights across the station began to flicker again. Doors opened on their own. The alien in the pod went completely still. Lyra noticed something even stranger. Her brother's voice was buried inside the file, repeating one word, "Run." Reyes shut it off immediately, but the damage was done. The station began to shake violently. Gravity flipped, then snapped back. Over the intercom, an old Earth military voice began repeating a phrase over and over, "Protocol silence. Execute memory lockdown. Do not recall. Do not recall." The voice sounded like Reyes. But he had never been here before. Or had he? Lyra grabbed his arm. What if that's what it does? She asked. It doesn't kill. It erases. People forget, and that's why no one remembers what happened here. Reyes's eyes narrowed. He couldn't remember the faces of his old squad. Couldn't remember their names. Just shadows in his mind. Suddenly, they heard footsteps, heavy ones, slow, dragging. But no scanner picked anything up. Something was coming down the hallway, invisible but real. The walls bent slightly as if pushed from the inside. Lyra opened a vent, and they crawled into the dark, just as a black shape passed by outside, its edges flickering like static. As they moved through the vent system, they came across a locked chamber labeled Command Level Memory Server. Inside, glowing containers held brainwave data of past soldiers, people who had fought here. One was labeled Reyes. His own memories had been stored here, wiped from his mind, sealed away. Lyra accessed the file. A recording played. It showed Reyes, younger, standing before a dying alien. He was crying. They begged us not to activate it, he said. We did it anyway. The memory ended, and Reyes collapsed, overwhelmed. Now he knew. He had been part of the original mission. He had helped release whatever was now waking up again. Outside the chamber, the lights died completely. In total darkness, the station whispered again, this time, using both their voices, calling them by name. It had heard them. And now it wanted them to remember. Total darkness swallowed the station as if the red zone itself had decided to close its eyes. Reyes and Lyra stood frozen in the memory server room, the last glow of the brainwave files flickering out. Then, softly, a faint sound returned, the gentle hum of a lullaby. It was the same melody that played when the wall first opened, but now it came from all directions, as if the station itself were humming it. Reyes knew they had stayed too long. We have to move, he whispered. They slipped out through a back maintenance hatch and crawled into a service shaft. There was no power, no air circulation, yet the atmosphere stayed breathable. The laws of physics had stopped working like they should. As they crawled, the walls around them pulsed soft thumps like a heartbeat echoing through metal. Lyra gritted her teeth, her voice shaking. This whole place, it's alive, isn't it? Reyes didn't answer. He was trying not to believe it too. They reached an old hangar at the bottom level of the station. Inside, hidden under a layer of dust and debris, they found a small recon shuttle, one of Earth's Black Ops models from the Silent War era. Reyes quickly powered it up. Amazingly, it responded. As they lifted off, the station behind them began to collapse inward like it had been a balloon popped from the inside. From the shuttle window, Lyra watched as a wave of darkness spread out from the core, but not like fire or smoke. This was memory breaking. Debris floated normally, but the shape of the station faded, pixel by pixel, like it was being deleted. It doesn't destroy things, Lyra said. It erases them. That's why no one remembers this war. Reyes guided the shuttle toward a hidden data archive built into an asteroid field, one of the last backups of pre-war records, known only to high-level command. They needed answers. They needed truth. The archive was dark, guarded by ancient defense aides that questioned them with riddles and scanned their minds for hidden corruption. After hours of waiting, the vault doors opened. Inside were pages and pages of classified history. Reyes and Lyra sat down and began reading. That's when they saw it. The hidden war. It wasn't a battle between humans and aliens. It was a war with thought itself. During deep space exploration, Earth forces had discovered something strange in a dimension just outside normal space, something that didn't have form, but could enter minds. It didn't speak, didn't think, not like us. But it learned. And the more people feared it, the more it grew. Earth called it the Echo. Scientists tried to trap it in codes, in containment walls made of memory and encryption. But it found ways in through language, symbols, even dreams. Earth's only hope was to contain it with something brutal, Project Silence. A weapon not of bullets, but of forced forgetting. Troops were sent in to activate it. And Reyes had been one of them. The weapon was meant to erase the echo's source, but it erased more than that. It wiped soldiers, cities, even time itself. The red zone was born in that blast, not just a no-go area, but a wound in space where memory bled. The war ended when Earth sealed the zone and wiped all records. The echo, they believed, had been weakened, trapped in silence. But the recent disappearance of Varix 1 proved otherwise. The echo was waking. It had been feeding on alien minds, one by one. Reyes stared at the records, jaw clenched. "We didn't win the war," he said quietly. "We just hit pause." And now, after decades, the play button had been pressed. Suddenly, the archive trembled. A signal had been sent. Someone knew they were there. Outside, a fleet of silent ships appeared, Earth models, cloaked, unmanned. Their mission wasn't to help. It was to erase. Again. Lyra ran to the console. "We need to get this data out," she said. "If the galaxy sees the truth, they won't be able to hide it anymore." But the ships began charging their weapons. Reyes had one choice. There was an old escape route, a hidden wormhole through the asteroid belt, but using it would risk tearing their ship apart. Still, they had no time. They loaded the data core into the shuttle, powered up engines, and raced toward the wormhole as Earth's Black Ops fleet fired. Explosions lit up behind them. One blast struck their left engine. Sparks flew. But somehow, the ship didn't fall. It floated forward as if something was pushing it from behind. Lyra looked out the window, her eyes wide. "Reyes, it's the alien from the stasis pod." A ghostly shape of light followed them, guiding their path. The echo had fed on their minds, but not all of them had been lost. Some, like that alien, had become something else. The shuttle slipped into the wormhole just as the archive exploded. Behind them, all that knowledge vanished in fire. But they still had the truth. And the galaxy was about to hear it, whether Earth liked it or not. The wormhole threw the shuttle out near a quiet star system, far from Earth's patrol zones. The ship was damaged, systems flickering, air filters hissing weakly, but Reyes and Lyra were alive and they still had the data core. They landed on an old mining colony orbiting a red dwarf star. It was abandoned, a ghost town of metal and dust, perfect for hiding. Inside one of the old COMM towers, Reyes rigged up a transmitter using broken parts and what little power remained. The goal was simple: send the truth out before Earth could find them again. But it wasn't just Earth watching. As Reyes connected the data core, it pulsed with heat, and for a moment, both of them heard voices, hundreds, maybe thousands, speaking in different languages, all saying the same thing: "You opened the silence." Lyra backed away, shaking. "It's not just code," she whispered. "It's still alive in there." Reyes shut the core down. They couldn't broadcast yet, not until they knew what they were really unleashing. So they did what they feared most. They opened the deepest files, Project Silence Phase 3, locked behind mental encryption. It required Reyes' neural signature to open. The file unlocked, and what they saw made their blood run cold. Project Silence was never designed to destroy the echo. It was designed to trap it using minds. The idea was cruel and brilliant: implant the echo into living soldiers, then erase their memories so they'd never know they were carriers. Those soldiers were then scattered across colonies, space stations, even alien peace missions. That's why Varix 1 disappeared. It had unknowingly brought one of the carriers on board. The echo, buried and forgotten, had reawakened once it left the silence zone. Earth knew this would happen. They planned for it. They needed to keep the echo spread out thin, silent, hidden. Not to protect others, but to protect Earth's power. Lyra's hands trembled as she read more. "They used people like cages," she said. "Like walking prisons." Reyes said nothing. He had begun to suspect the truth: he had no memory of his past because he was one of them. The memory server hadn't just shown stored footage. It had shown his function. He was a carrier. That's why the echo didn't attack him. That's why he kept hearing the voice in his dreams. It lived inside him. But now, after exposure to the core and reactivating his lost memories, the echo was waking inside him too. Reyes began hearing thoughts that weren't his own. He saw images of the war, of aliens screaming, of entire planets going dark. The echo didn't speak in words. It remembered. And now, so did he. Meanwhile, Earth moved. A fleet of manned warships entered the sector, broadcasting false messages across open channels. Terrorists have stolen dangerous tech. Do not engage. Sector is under quarantine. But others were already listening. Alien governments, neutral observers, even AI-run colonies. The truth was leaking. Lyra sent fragments of the files to trusted contacts. But they didn't know how long they had before Earth silenced them again. That night, Reyes sat alone, looking at the stars. He spoke to the voice inside his head. "What do you want?" he asked. A silence followed, then a thought, not in words, but in feeling. It didn't want war. It wanted freedom. It had been trapped for decades, bound to people who didn't even know it was there. It had no body, no world, no voice, just endless silence. Reyes realized the real enemy wasn't the echo. It was Earth's fear. Earth didn't try to understand it. They tried to bury it. That's what had caused everything. But if he let the echo out, truly out, it could spread, uncontrolled, across the stars. A mind virus without limits. Lyra warned him, if we free it, it could grow beyond anything we've ever known. But Reyes replied softly, if we don't, we keep living a lie. Then, a new signal appeared on their radar. Not Earth. Not alien. Something old, deep, hidden behind layers of broken code. The source, a station called Black Echo, once the heart of Project Silence, now thought destroyed. It was still out there. Still online. And it had just sent them a message, return to source. The truth is incomplete. Reyes and Lyra looked at each other. It was time to go back to the place where it all began. To the place that should never have existed. Earth had buried the truth. But now, the grave was open. The journey to the Black Echo station took them through dead space, uncharted, unmapped, and blacker than anything Lyra had ever seen. No stars, no planets, not even space dust. Just a vast, unnatural silence that felt like being inside a sleeping mind. As their shuttle crept through it, Reyes could feel something stir inside his head. Thoughts that weren't his. Images of battles he'd never seen. Alien memories, screams, cold air, something pulling them apart piece by piece. Lyra noticed his silence. It's speaking to you again, isn't it? She asked. He nodded slowly. Not words. Just feelings. Pain. Hunger. Loneliness. They reached the coordinates. There was no station. Just a hole in space, pitch black, twisting like a whirlpool of broken time. The sensors screamed, then died. But the shuttle drifted forward anyway, as if pulled. One moment, there was emptiness. The next, the station was simply there, revealed like a trick of light. Black Echo. Huge, circular, floating in stillness, coated in layers of shielding and time-locked tech. Every surface was covered in ancient Earth code and strange alien carvings that pulsed faintly, like veins. As they docked, the doors opened on their own. No gravity. No sound. Just cold air and a long, empty hallway. They stepped inside. The walls whispered not with voices, but with feelings. Every corridor played memories. Some were Reyes' faces of his old squad, a girl he once loved. Others were Lyra's, her childhood, her brother, her first alien language decoded. Then Stranger Things memories that didn't belong to either of them. Worlds they'd never seen. People they'd never met. All bleeding together. At the heart of the station was a large, circular chamber glowing with blue light. In the center floated a sphere, black as night, wrapped in energy chains. This was the Void Echo. Or at least, its prison. Reyes stepped forward. The chains reacted, stretching toward him like reaching hands. Then something strange happened. The sphere stopped whispering. It became still, quiet, as if waiting. Reyes reached out. Lyra shouted, "No!" But it was too late. The moment his fingers touched the black surface, the room exploded with light. They weren't in a station anymore. They were standing in a field of stars, surrounded by floating memories, Earth wars, alien tragedies, silent betrayals. The Echo's mind was everything. A living record of pain and silence. Then, it spoke. Not in sound. In memory. It showed them the first moment it was found trapped in a rift beyond space, screaming without a mouth. Humans tried to destroy it. Couldn't. They tried to understand it. Failed. So they caged it inside minds, Reyes' mind included. "We asked for peace," the memory said. "You gave us silence." Reyes saw himself as a younger man, walking away from the station after the war, memories erased. He had helped bind the Echo, unknowingly becoming its warden. The Echo had waited inside him ever since. Lyra stood beside him, watching it all. "It doesn't want to hurt us," she whispered. "It wants to be heard." But Reyes saw more. The Echo was vast. Beautiful. But also dangerous. It didn't understand limits. It didn't know mercy. Every time someone touched it, it learned more. Evolved. Grew. If released now, it wouldn't be a voice, it would be a storm. A psychic wave spreading through thought, speech, even dreams. It could burn across galaxies without ever firing a shot. "If I let you go," Reyes asked it, "will you destroy them?" The Echo responded with silence. But deep inside, he felt its answer, "Only if they keep lying." Back in the chamber, the light faded. The chains cracked. The station was falling apart. Earth forces had found them. Ships surrounded the station, demanding surrender. Reyes looked at Lyra. "We can't go back." "Not like this." "Then what?" she asked. "Set it free." He looked at the sphere. Then at the data core. They could do both. Free the Echo, not completely but enough to tell its truth. Enough for the galaxy to see the prison Earth built. Enough for others to choose what came next. Reyes linked the core to the Echo. The sphere pulsed. A signal burst out, waves of memory flooding across space. On colonies, ships, alien stations, people saw visions, truths buried for decades. Earth's hidden war. The Red Zone. Project Silence. And the Echo's final thought, "I remember." Earth's ships opened fire. The station crumbled. But inside the chaos, the sphere vanished, not destroyed, but escaped. Carried through the data stream, through minds. Through memory. A ghost set loose in thought. Reyes and Lyra barely made it out in an escape pod, spinning into the stars. Behind them, Black Echo burned, and the truth scattered like ash across the galaxy. The Void Echo was no longer trapped. And nothing would ever be silent again. The escape pod drifted silently in deep space, systems barely functional, oxygen slowly thinning. Reyes floated half-conscious, his mind still echoing with the memories of the void. Lyra worked the emergency comms, trying to reach anyone not controlled by Earth. Then, it happened. The galaxy woke up. The Echo's signal had reached further than they ever imagined. Across hundreds of star systems, visions poured into people's minds, raw, real, and unstoppable. Alien leaders received images of the stasis pods and silenced screams. Colonies saw Earth's hidden war. Civilians relived the erased horrors of Project Silence. It wasn't just information. It was emotion. Millions now felt the betrayal, the suffering, the fear Earth had buried. And Earth panicked. Within hours, emergency broadcasts were issued, false data attacks are underway. Enemy ACE have compromised galactic networks. Block all incoming memories. Trust only official transmissions. But it was too late. The truth had already seeded itself in too many minds. Protests began on outer colonies. Refugees came forward, soldiers who had been part of the memory erasures, now remembering their roles. Former scientists leaked files that matched Reyes and Lyra's data exactly. Earth's grip was slipping. The High Command responded like it always had, with silence and force. Warships appeared near neutral systems. Black Ops teams were deployed to clean leaks. Lyra received a message from a friend inside a diplomatic hub. They are calling it a thought virus. But some are listening. You need to disappear before they make you vanish. Reyes watched this unfold from the pod, weak but aware. The echo inside him had quieted, no longer whispering but not gone. Just watching. Learning. Waiting. A rebel AI network known as FreeMind picked up their pod and pulled them into one of their hidden arcs, huge, moving space stations not bound by any planet or law. Inside, they were treated like fugitives, but also heroes. Lyra gave a full debrief to FreeMind leaders, humans, aliens, and AI all seated at the same table. Many wanted to act. Some wanted war. Others warned against confronting Earth directly. But Reyes knew the truth. Earth wouldn't back down. Not now. They would rather start another silent war than admit what they'd done. And the void echo? It was already moving. Reyes felt it. Not as a presence inside him anymore, but around him. Free. Growing. Stretching across minds like a soft fog. Some people were resisting it. Others were accepting it, letting it show them things. Painful truths. Old memories. Hidden lies. The echo wasn't just a threat. It was a mirror. And many didn't like what they saw. Lyra uncovered something terrifying. Earth had prepared a protocol called Project Clean Sweep, a plan to shut down all interstellar comms, scramble memory archives, and use old silent tech to reboot civilization from a trusted backup. If they couldn't stop the truth, they would erase it again. This time, everywhere. Reyes stood before FreeMind's leaders. We either let Earth reset the galaxy, or we flood it with more truth than they can bury. The plan was dangerous. Reckless. But it might work. They would hijack an ancient Earth warship, the Ark of Orion, one of the last ships from the original Silence War, still hidden near the solar barrier. It had a broadcast core strong enough to beam data into every mind connected to any shared system, direct neural links, AI relays, language processors. Once used to spread obedience, it would now be used to spread memory. Not just knowledge, but experience. Pain. Truth. The echo would ride the signal not to control, but to reveal. The mission began at dawn. FreeMind scrambled its best crew, and Reyes, broken but determined, led the way. As they left the Ark station, Lyra looked back at the stars. If we do this, there's no going back. Reyes nodded. That's the point. Behind them, Earth moved its fleets into position. All the weapons. All the silence. Ready to erase. Ahead, the Ark of Orion slept, forgotten, dangerous, and humming softly with old power. The final choice wasn't whether to fight. It was whether the galaxy was ready to remember everything. The Ark of Orion drifted in the cold dark near the solar barrier, a vast warship from a forgotten age, its hull covered in dust from silence, its name half erased by time. No one had touched it in decades, not since the end of the war Earth swore never happened. But deep inside, its heart still beat, an ancient broadcast core, capable of reaching not just machines, but minds. It had once been a weapon for obedience. Now, it would carry the truth. Reyes, Lyra, and the FreeMind team boarded the ship through a broken service hatch. Inside, the air was thick with static and history. Old lights flickered as if waking from a dream. Reyes led the way, each step echoing through steel halls that remembered screams no one else did. In the control chamber, he placed a data core beside the broadcast relay. It pulsed once, then began to glow. All across the galaxy, people paused. Something stirred in the background of every system: images, voices, emotions that weren't theirs. The Echo was waking, riding the data like a wave. Earth responded instantly. Battle fleets appeared near the Ark, weapons hot, demanding immediate surrender. The skies lit up with warning beacons. But Reyes didn't stop. Lyra connected the final key. The relay began counting down. 2 minutes until full release. Across the galaxy, Earth's command centers initiated clean sweep, the last plan. A total memory purge. Every colony, every backup, every trace of the Echo would be deleted in one global reset. But they didn't know Reyes had already taken a step further. He hadn't just linked the Echo to systems, he had linked it to people. The core broadcasted not to machines alone but to thoughts, to dreams, to pain. And pain couldn't be deleted. As the countdown neared 0, Lyra turned to Reyes. Once this begins, you'll lose control. The Echo will spread. It won't be yours anymore. Reyes nodded. It never was. 1 minute left. Earth's ships opened fire. Shields around the Ark cracked. But it held. Reyes took a breath, placed his hand on the core and spoke a final message. It was simple. I remember. And now, so will you. The timer hit 0. And the galaxy changed. The Ark exploded with light, no heat, no fire, just a pulse of memories so powerful it tore through every firewall, every defense, every silence. On planets, in starships, in the minds of people and Ace, the truth poured in. The Red Zone. Project Silence. The prisoners used as memory cages. The war Earth buried. The entity they feared. The Echo. People collapsed in the streets, weeping from pain they never lived but now remembered. Soldiers dropped weapons, overwhelmed by shame they didn't know they carried. Alien leaders wept for the crews of the Verix 1, whose screams had been caged in static. But not everyone resisted. Some embraced the flood. Some let the Echo in. And instead of being broken, they grew. They saw not just Earth's lies but their own. Their mistakes. Their silence. For the first time, the galaxy understood. The Echo wasn't a weapon. It was memory itself, alive, powerful, and born from pain ignored too long. Back on the Ark, the systems began to shut down. The core dimmed. Reyes collapsed beside it, his mind fading. Lyra held him as he smiled faintly. Did it work? He whispered. She nodded, eyes full of tears. They see us now? He closed his eyes. Good. Then we're free. Earth's fleets retreated in chaos. No command could stop the flood. Their secrets were no longer secret. And their silence was broken. Across the stars, the leak spread like fire, truth in every breath, every whisper. And far beyond, in a place no one could reach, the Echo drifted freely now, not screaming, not angry. Just watching. Listening. Remembering. And the galaxy would never forget again.